Everybody, welcome. I'm gonna give you some chances to come in, and I am a little bit late today. We tend to do that, but we have other projects going on, so it kind of limits our time. But we get here as soon as we can. We're definitely here every time, but it just maybe not at the time. So I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes. Hope everybody's week was well. Welcome. Hello. Welcome. Computer is slow. All right, so we are talking financial literacy. So welcome to District 4. It is the best place to be. Now, this one is titled Financial Literacy and Divorce. All right, so let me sit back for this one. This is a little bit of a difficult subject because no one likes to think about divorce, and you definitely no one wants to experience it. And if you're going through it, it's even more hard to talk about. But we do have to talk about it in a financial sense because that is something that determines your financial future. I mean, let's be honest. It can affect any income level. We're all just kind of rolling along just normally, and we're thinking we're okay, and the next thing you know, something like this can can either wipe you out or make it difficult for you to move forward financially. So there's a couple of things we wanted to cover. So when you're in a broke mindset, and we talk about this poor mindset, this broke mindset, it actually applies also when you're getting divorced. Most of the time, when you're broke or in a broke mindset, and particularly if you financially don't have anything, you just divorce and that's it. And oftentimes, if you're in a financially deficient situation, you have a tendency to not even expect anything. So, and you could have 4 or 5 kids, sometimes 1, 2, sometimes no kids at all, but you've been dependent on this person for a long time. The problem comes in is, what if you were married to a narcissist, for example? Somebody that was a miser, someone that's an abusive situation. If it was just mental health issues, if it was cheating, if it was something that was rather quick and unexpected. No one expects a divorce. They're all unexpected. But for the most part, what if it's just sort of like you're in deficiency and it's a dire situation? So these are the things I'm going to try to cover because I think it's important for you to also have a plan in these situations and be prepared. So one of the first things I want to talk about, and if you forgive me, I'm trying to look at the Wi-Fi because it's like having trouble at this particular moment, and I want to make sure you can actually hear me. So I'm checking for that. I want make sure you subscribe, click the bell, the little notification bell, because of the times like this when we're not at a specific time. We had to tape or the day had to change. This will notify you when the shows happen. We also do multiple shows. We do different types of shows. So we do trials, we do relationships, we do other things besides just the one that you're looking at. So that'll also notify you in a case like that or situations when that's happening. Sorry, one more time with the Wi-Fi. It is not working right now. It says that my sound is off. I'm hoping that you can hear me. I feel like you can. Let me just test the mic a little bit. Should click on post haste. There's always something technical going on when you're taping. We don't have too many technical problems, but with the live shows, we often have something going on that's kind of technical. But right now it's the sound. It says that you can hear, but it might be too low. Let's give that a few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to start with, so when you're divorcing, and you're saying to yourself probably, okay, some of you are saying, okay, I have no access to anything. Oftentimes, if you're in a rich type of financial situation, it tends to be one person handling the finances, right? we call them the person that is responsible for the money. The person that had the money when you came into the relationship. The person that not just controlled the finances, but also was the earner, was the money maker, we call them, quote unquote, in the relationship. You don't have access to it. You don't. Maybe you have a financial advisor and the financial advisor was there already. That can be a problem. Because the other person getting divorced that may not have access to those things, or they don't think that they have access to those things. Sometimes you have a person that is financially free. They both want a divorce, but they don't know how to split up the assets, right? And the divorce has to happen kind of quickly, or as quickly as it can. And then we have a person that has nothing, right? As I mentioned earlier, and they're thinking to themselves, there's really no need to go through all of this. This is just, we're just going to just get divorced. But either way, you're left, or could be left, with less money. Even if the divorce is mutual, it's going to hurt both your finances because now you're paying for twice. You're compensating for two incomes if you're financially free, or you are trying to continue forward, but you still have a lot of assets to split up. Or you have nothing, like I said, and you have to sort of, now you have nothing and you have only one income, or now you have nothing and you weren't working before you have to go back out into the workforce. So the thing about it is to think for the future. If you don't have anything, let's say you guys are at zero. Let's talk to these people. Let's talk to these people that are like legitly, not just poor in mindset, but like you don't have anything. But you have 4 children, 5 kids, 3 kids, even 1. You have children involved in this relationship. And it's going to be difficult for you, whomever ends up with the children, even if you split it, to care for the kid, right? So you're thinking to yourself, okay, we'll just do a quick, easy divorce, and that's how it is. Financially, that's not a good idea. Financially, right? I'm not telling you how to get divorced. I'm telling you financially, how you handle that is to think future, right? So let's say your spouse is a deadbeat, he or she, right? And they don't work and they don't want to work and they're definitely not going to work because they don't want to give you all their money or whatever people say. And you're like, okay, well, why am I going to even go to court for this? This is not. It's because they will work eventually, right? And they're going to work because they have to support themselves, right? It just has to happen, right? I don't care if they work at the gas station. They have to work. You go into court and you plan for your future finances. You don't say, okay, I don't want spousal, I don't want child support, I don't want anything, I just want to get rid of this person, they just need to go. No. No, not financially. This is how a lot of people get tripped up. Your lifestyle is going to change dramatically. And the courts need to understand that, and that needs to be a part of the divorce for you financially. In case they do stop being a deadbeat, or they decide that they have to work because they have to take care. Well, I don't care what they're doing. The point of the circumstances is to plan for the future. So you can go in there and divorce based on what the earnings potential could be. You see, that's worth it for you if you're the one, and particularly if you're the one that has physical custody of the children, right? It's not just about child support. It's also about spousal support. Because ideally, when you get divorced, you're supposed to maintain your lifestyle, whatever it is. And some people come out even better, right, if you're smart about it. Okay, so think about that. That's the first thing to think about when you're thinking financially with divorce. The second thing is contact the Department of Child Support Services even before they get the paperwork. Now you're like, what? First of all, some of you are like, who is that? Is that a whole department? Is this for abused children? Like, what is? No, it is not just for poor people. It is not. Some people think every service is for poor people. It is not. It's to help safeguard you, right? You apply for this when you know you want a divorce. It's going to take time because it's a government process. And B, it guarantees child support. What if you're in a situation where the person's like, no, I'm not paying her. Nope. Not paying for her or for her stepchildren. What if you were in a stepkid situation, or the person that you're married to was a narcissist? Because narcissists have a tendency to hide money, right? And you're like, what am I doing with these kids? You start panicking, and you're already going through a divorce, and your lifestyle's going to change. You have all these emotions. Take care of that, because then you can focus on spousal support. And this is for men too, okay? There are some women out there probably making triple time the amount of money that their husband was making, okay? You can ask for spousal support. Not too many men are going to do that, but it's there available to you. I'm saying that to say that it's on both sides. So when you go to the Department of Child Support Services, as soon as you know you want to file, it's the first thing on your mind, and you have children involved, do that. Now you're asking yourself, no, okay, if I go do that, what's going to happen? Does that mean I don't get money from court? Doesn't mean any of that. What it means is interest starts to accrue. That's what it means. You get paid on interest that they don't pay, right? So the judge gives an order by the time, the process paperwork, and they say, well, we have to hold the paperwork until, the court orders or whatever. The court orders child support, future child support, whatever, and this prevents them from saying, I'm not going to pay anything. Unless it's written in a prenup, they're paying. And it saves you the headache of having to worry about it. It's an institution that a lot of people don't know about or don't utilize because they think they have too much money, or they don't have enough money, or some people just don't have financial literacy to know that you can go there and have them do all of the chasing. You do not have to track him down or her down, in whatever the case may be. Sometimes the mothers don't get the children, right? Also, it's good to note that there's a percentage added to that, different for each state, right? So say, for example, they're paying and then all of a sudden they stop paying. And you want some documented proof that they did that, right? It works for that too. Also, there's different percentages. Like I said, 6% may be in one state. I'll give you an example. Where 6% was in one state, the person moved to another state. It was 15% in that state in between the time they paid both taxes, right? Until the court sorted it out. So all of that is back support. And back support is just that. It's back. It means that they don't pay a dime that the judge orders from them, the kids could be 29 and they're still going to have to pay that back support. So it's a safeguard, right? So these are the steps. So think in the future, right? You got to think long term, and you have to think in case, you're emotionally too drained to be really doing a lot of what you need to do. Also, gather financial documentation. People do not do this. People, like I said, they get divorced, and you either think that your rich spouse is not going to give you money, and you've just accepted that, or you are financially free, but you both are mutual, or you don't feel like you have anything. So you're like, what financial documents? What is that going to do? Again, it can help you for what's going to happen in the future. It can also safeguard you in case there's a little bit of coming down the line later, your spouse, because it takes a long time to get divorced. You don't get divorced in a day, right? Emotions roller coaster depending on who left whom and all of these things, but they all affect your finances. They just do. So you want to gather financial documentation as soon as possible. You want to go back and get that documentation for at least 3 to 4 months. Bank statements, paycheck stubs, whatever you have to show proof. And I like to get them ahead of time because it gives you dates. It gives you dates of honesty, right? When you go to court and you're asking for finances and you just say, well, I need X amount of money, of course you have to show proof for that, right? You have to show proof. And part of that proof is showing this is what we had, this is what I contributed. If your spouse is not telling the truth, maybe they hid some money somewhere, you can say, hey, when I checked the bank statements before we got divorced, they were here, and now they're here. Where did all this money go? So you see, it helps, okay? All to protect you financially, right? To make sure when you leave this divorce, you're not starting over completely, or you're not left, in an abandoned state where they don't follow the court order. Okay? So you have to analyze your lifestyle and do it annually. This goes back to the documentation that I requested that you, or suggested that you get for your finances. But you also have to, let's say you're not broke financially. Let's say that you're not even financially free. Let's just say you're just almost on your way to wealth, or you were at wealth. And all of a sudden this divorce comes out of nowhere, right? You should maintain your lifestyle. You don't have to leave that marriage with nothing. I don't care if she had it before you met her. I don't care if it was Beyonce and you married her and you didn't have a dime when you met her. It doesn't matter. Or if it's, Jay-Z in the reverse and, he didn't have dime. It doesn't matter. You can maintain your lifestyle by having the things that you need to show why you needed it. You don't have, the courts are going to look at that, right? And you're protecting yourself financially, right? Okay. So request mediation. You're like, what's that got to do with finances? It has a lot to do with finances. Number one, it's cheaper because it's all sorted out before you get there. And number two, it allows you to ask for things in a negotiated setting so that you're not just throwing stuff out in the middle of the court, because you really can't talk to each other. Anybody that's never been divorced knows this, right? In the middle of the court proceedings. You have to really be talking before or after. And it will simplify things so that you're not in court for the next 20 years fighting about something. Do you understand? Some of the things is, during the marriage, let's say that all your money was put together. That usually happens a lot of times, right? All your money's put together and you didn't have access to it. Somebody asked me this question once. And one of the questions was, well, what do I do if I don't have access to that? Well, you're still married. So you go to the bank, you find out. You get access. You can add your name to stuff. That's your spouse still at this time. And then another really random one that helps you financially. Some people are going to be like, oh, we're doing that right now. And then some people are going to be like, who does that? Trust me when I say a lot of people with a lot of assets, a lot of money, and a lot of finances, insurance, taxes, and businesses together, just don't get divorced. This is not to say you live together. Some people live on different sections of the house. You have enough space where one's living upstairs and the other, but they just don't divorce. This is also true for people with no financial connections. They just don't want to start over. So they're like, hey, we're not filing. I'm getting tax write-offs. It's going to happen. And you guys have seen us, if you watched our relationship one, allude to that reality of the situation, that sometimes people just don't get divorced. They separate, right? But as far as tax write-offs and insurance, all those things, they're still married. So that happens a lot as well. So really, that's really the thing about this particular one. It wasn't a lot to say, but it was to just get you the thinking about a divorce when you're in the middle of just having the emotions that go along with that. But also thinking ahead of time, right? Because financially, too many of us leave these marriages with nothing. Or you have to start over. Or it's not really fair to your children, right? Any kids you may have. And some of them don't have kids, but you relied on this person. What if you got married and you never worked? Right? But the guy's a narcissist. Or the girl. Guys too. And the girl or guy is a narcissist. That was never going to work in the first place, because you have to look at Dr. Romney. I love her. She'll tell you all about narcissism. This is not about narcissism, but this is about being financially abused by one. And you can be financially abused by them. They get you to rely on them, and then suddenly he decides to detach, or what they call discard. And you're left with bad credit, no money in the bank. You have kids, and he's on to the next thing, or she, because women do that too, unfortunately. So I have some questions I would like to answer because it's important. Wow. Okay, so this first question. So, how do I stash cash without Okay, with my narcissistic soon-to-be ex-spouse? Okay, so I'm feeling a little resentment there with the phrasing of this question. Okay, so here's my official answer. I cannot tell you what to do or how to hide money. I will not tell you that. I am not telling you that. But if you just so happen to buy gift cards and stash cash on them, that is up to you. I did not tell you to do that. I am not telling you. But if you just so happen to take your bonuses and put them in a separate account, I didn't, that's, what you have ended up doing. I did not tell you that because I cannot tell you something like that. I don't know your finances. I don't know your situation. I cannot tell you to go to the bank and check your finances and move money from one account to maybe one of your relatives' accounts. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that at all. So I don't know. The official answer to that is how to stash money in that way. You have to find a way on your own to do that because I don't really know how to do that. But if you just so happen to, have a separate account before you get divorced, that just happens to happen. But I'm not telling you to do any of that, right? All right, let's move on. So my next question is, how do I get spousal support in a divorce if he has no money? Well, does he have a job? If he has a job, he has money, okay? And think of it this way. The idea of spousal support, child support, all of these things, like I told you to go to the Department of Child Support Services. If you have children, that would be my first, I would think that would be the first thing you would do. But also, I would think that you would set that up. So even if he paid you $10 because, he only worked part-time at, the Stop and Go, for one day a week, he still, once he stops working there and he starts working full-time or anything changes in his schedule, then he is obligated to you financially. And another thing, people think court orders, that you can just stop them. It doesn't work like that. So even if he did stop paying the court order, he's still accountable for the court order until it's paid off. Do you understand? So it's to your benefit to get in there and get something set up. Because what you're doing right now is for the future. I did allude to that a little bit earlier, but that's really what it is. It's you setting it up for when, he's able to reinvest, or she, but in this case it's a guy because she said he. She said he has. Okay, so if he has a job, he has spousal support. And spousal support means that you had a long-term marriage most of the time. So in a long-term marriage like that, and you've invested a lot of time and energy, and I would think that you would want to go to child support services, and then you would want to go to court to set something up, even if you're just setting it up with him and just have him sign it and send it to the court, so that in the future, if you need to ask for spousal support, that you can. Okay, what do I do if you're in the middle of a divorce and have no savings to live on? This was an interesting question that came actually from outside, but okay, so if you have no savings, which I kind of assumed that you didn't anyway, and the person sends you papers, let's just say they send you papers in the mail just randomly, like they want the divorce, right? And you don't have any money. You're thinking to yourself, it goes back to the same principle. You take those papers and you go to court with them. You go to court with these papers and you say, I received these, and what if the person says, I don't know where the person is and I couldn't find, whatever the order is, it's temporary, because when you go in there, you're going to change it. So you go back to court with that documentation. You say, wait a minute, this paper says, all of this stuff happened as default. I didn't know about it. I wasn't served. I'm here now. I would like to ask for spousal support, and I would like to have a day in court, and I would like to file these papers. You see. So then in the future, now he has to be accountable, he or she. This doesn't say whether this is a woman or a man. Okay, he or she. has to be accountable, and they have to pay you, even if it doesn't happen right away. Same thing with Department of Child Support Services. It doesn't happen right away, but you know it's coming. A great example of that is the Department of Child Support Services took about, I don't even know how long to find this man in one of the cases. And for those of you that are wondering where I'm getting my legal backing from, go look at who the H is District 4, and it tells you my history. I do have a legal background. So just, this is where it's coming from. So look at that video. It'll tell you everything that you need to know. I won't address it here, but it is addressed in that video where you get my full history, actually. It took a while, but when he filed taxes, they took the money out, and it went to the wife and to the children. You see? So you don't have to have a savings to get divorced. You don't have to have a savings to request money. Because if you follow my theory, because I can't call it advisory, but theory as it were, if you follow my videos, if you're paying attention to financial literacy, it is financially responsible for you to go in and make sure you pay, that something is set up. It also protects you. Let's say you're the money person, like you're the one with all the money. You don't want to just divorce, because you're gonna end up owing like an arm and a leg, right? You know, maybe you divorced this person because they cheated, or you didn't want to give them money, right? So you better regulate what it is that you're paying them, you know, which is often this case. And it's not just men. I'm telling you, some women out, they make more than their husbands, soon to be ex-husband. And the ex-husband, there was a case where the ex-husband lost the job, and the wife, I mean, she was like triple the amount of income he had when he was working. She was also a trust fund child. So she had a bunch of money while they were married, right? Because get married when they were young. They stayed together like 22 years or something. I don't know how you get divorced after that long, but they were married 22 years. Anyway, so she paid him spousal support because he didn't have a job. And because she didn't safeguard herself, she paid a truckload of money to him every month. Something like $15,000 a month or something crazy. And she was panicking. She was like, I'm not even married to him anymore. And it was like, it doesn't matter. You know, so it's better to hash it out. It's better to do that. Should I depend on my future ex's income? Well, this is another question that came from the outside. Okay, so should you depend on your future ex's income? Yes, you absolutely should. Because it's part of him, or he or she. In this case, this was a lady, I know, because I can tell by the name. Yeah, because he needs to be paying something, just like she needs to be paying something, if in particularly, if there's stuff to split up. If you don't have anything and you had kids, yes, absolutely. You know, and you set it up so that there's no statute of limitations. Even if they don't pay a dime, I can't tell you how many cases there are where lump sums were paid after years. The kids were grown. Same thing with spousal support, because a court order is that. That's what I was going to say. I went in to say that a court order is a court order, right? You have to honor it, or you are in contempt, right? You're not following the court order, so you have to follow. You can't just say one day, well, you know what, I'm not going to pay anymore, you got remarried or whatever. Now you need to go in and adjust it if those are the cases, but you can't just stop paying, which many poor people actually do. Not just poor people. The good thing about this subject and preparing yourself for if you were to get divorced, or if you're in the middle of divorce or after the divorce, because you can get a post-nup, by the way. You can get a post-nup. People are like, what? What? You mean like prenup? No, I mean a post-nup. You can, and some of you people out there are like, oh yeah, I got one. I know you, I hear you. Those are the people that are like, what? I have way too much money. I am not trying. This person's not acting like I thought. This person's not what I thought they were. Post-nup. It's happening. So you can get a post-nup if you don't have a prenup. And a prenup, mind you, is not ironclad. I know. For all you prenup people out there, I know. Just don't start crying. It is a contract like anything else. Contracts can be debated, right? But for the most part, it will safeguard you a little better than if you didn't have one. So, which follows along with the next question: should I get a prenup? Should you get a prenup? If you're asking my opinion, no, not necessarily a prenup. You can do a variation of that so that it's not disrespectful to the person you're marrying. Now, ideally, he or she is going to sign a prenup. Why wouldn't you? If you're married to this person, but here's the thing about a prenup. I've said this before. Put what you want in it. If you're not happy, if they're like, hey, you're signing this man's worth, billions of dollars, and you've got a couple $100,000 or you've got $1 million and it's not enough, and you guys decide to sign a prenup, you don't have to just sign what they put in front of you, right? You can sign, if you can say, hey, I don't like this stipulation, or no, I don't want this, or hey, I'm putting an adultery clause in there because if you cheat, whatever, you can negotiate it. It is a contract, so you can. And the same thing with the post-nup. Maybe you guys are going in the wrong direction. Sit down, do a post-nup, and decide, what you're going to do from there. But the idea with this level of series that I was talking about is that you're able to protect yourself financially, because this is financial. I cannot give you financial literacy without covering a very difficult subject, which is sometimes people don't stay married, right? I mean, that's life, right? And unfortunately, too many people have to start over completely. My goal is to prevent you from having to do that. My goal, just period, in this financial series is to prevent you from having to do that. Do you understand? So, having said that, there's a couple more questions. Somebody asked, what is narcissistic abuse? Oh, no, I'm sorry. What is narcissistic abuse? I believe narcissistic abuse killed my credit score. Well, there's not enough detail in that. Just for an understanding of narcissistic abuse, it's just if you mean it kills your credit score and you're asking me how to get your credit score back up, I'm kind of uncertain of the question, or if that's just a statement. It sounds like a statement, but if it is a question, because you put it in the question section, if it kills your credit score and you need to rebuild your credit score, in a case like this, depending upon how far it dropped, right? I would go to a professional credit person, because it sounds like it would have dropped dramatically or drastically, or you wouldn't be bringing it up. And in a case like that, it's going to take you way longer to try to fix that than it is if you got help. Do you understand? So sometimes it's worth it to just pay the pay. You know what I mean? You just pay it out. And you may not think, oh, I don't have the whatever it is. But you also don't have good credit, which is going to hurt you. So the longer you go with this bad credit, the worse it's going to be. Do you understand? So get the help you need, right? I mentioned like doctors and certain things you just pay for, even if you have to, borrow the money or whatever you need to do, because it's in the long run, it's really going to be helpful for you to do those things if you can understand. So my advice to you is, I'm sorry that happened to you. It is awful. I get it. He or she probably detached and doesn't care, but you need to do this for yourself and for your future. Now when you're broke, like in these types of cases, you need to think future-wise, because you're already where you're going to be with that person for that period of time, right? It's not going to get any better. So it can only improve from you moving forward from there, if that makes sense. Okay? So you guys, thank you. You have been liking. You have been subscribing. We are trying to reach our goal of the 10,000 subscribers. So get us there with an ultimate goal of 1.5 million, right? Okay. We're new. We'll start slow. We'll start with the 10,000. Make sure you click the notification button. Like, subscribe, notification button. Watch the videos all the way to the end. Re-watch the videos. This was a hard one because it's covering something that is just it's just a difficult subject. But I wanted to touch it because it has to do with finances. Financially, the majority of people that get divorced start over. And I would be remiss in my responsibilities if I do not address how to help you in a case like that. Especially if you just came home and suddenly you had papers, you know, or you just came home and suddenly he was moving in with a new girl, or you just came home and suddenly she was, you know, stripping, and so these are all stereotypes, but you know, you just came home and the kids were gone and she was packed and everything was, you know, or you know, you came home and he was just whatever. Especially if you're caught off guard by this, or you just discovered the person is bipolar and you're like, oh my God, I can't live another day with this bipolar person. So thank you for watching. Like I said, watch the videos over and over again, like, subscribe, notification button, and I will see you next time.